my love.
Great, thank you so much for joining us. Do you both want to introduce yourselves to our audience?
I'm Vanessa Carlton.
I'm Sky Steele.
Great, thank you so much, and thank you to our audience for joining us. We're getting tons of hearts and questions for you, so thank you for commenting with those. And I'm Madison Mills, and I'll be asking those questions. We have one from Mark Stieber. He says, what's the best advice you've received from someone?
About any category of anything in life?
He doesn't specify, but if you want to pick a specific category, if you want to talk about your songwriting.
Well, I would say I've been asked this question many times if I'm doing interviews with college papers from younger musicians who ask for advice. And I think over the years, in my opinion and my experience, the most important thing to do is to trust your own instincts in terms of how you're going to form your aesthetic. So I think when people feel overwhelmed by a trend and it starts to pull them out of their instinct, in terms of like whatever their artistic our instinct is pulling them into, I think that's when you lose your authenticity. I think when art is its most authentic is when it's a pure representation of the artist's impulses and its most pure form of the person's most pure form of instinct. So.
A little bit more specific from Salma Aslam in our Facebook audience asks, what advice would you have for someone who wants to learn to play the piano later on in life, and how old were you when you started?
Well, that's a good question, because I think it's important to find a good teacher that's like, you're not going to get, okay, so my mother's a piano teacher, and she would teach a lot of adult students. I think her style was very good, because Sky and I are both classically trained on the piano from very long, classically trained musicians from very young ages. And you can get hardcore in the beginning, especially when you're a young pupil, because, you have to do things right. The fingering has to be right. There's a lot of rules if you're a classical musician. If you're an adult wanting to, like, dive into an instrument, I think you have to find a teacher that's that's not going to, like, destroy you or traumatize you. And really, it's got to be fun. Like, I think you have to, it's about the pieces the teacher chooses for you to learn. And, like, if you want to learn, like, the song from Cheers or whatever, like like that's fine. Like just learn that, and then it's a bridge to something else. Like who knows?
How big of an influence was your mom on your musical style?
Well, my mom is a classical pianist, and she like I said earlier, she trained me on classical pieces, but she's also she's an artist herself, and she has this style of teaching that is her own art, in the sense that, she really wants to nourish creativity in her students. So I think there'd be many times when I'd be learning a piece and I would just kind of go off on a tangent and not play what was on the page. because she was very about, teaching, you have to read music, you can write, and should be able to write music, which I can do, which I can barely remember how to write music now, but that's not the point. When I would go off on a tangent off of what was written in front of me, she wouldn't correct me. So I feel like she was slowly kind of nourishing that side of creativity and improvisation.
Sam Brown asks what you do to keep your voice in good shape.
I do warm-ups, even if it's just 5 minutes every day if I have a show. I learned from this amazing vocal coach. Her name is Tina Schaefer. She teaches in the city still. And she was an opera singer. And opera singers have the best technique, I think, in terms of like preserving your chords, because it's so intense the way they sing. So, and I have just like this little whatever range, but I've never gotten a note on my vocal cord because of her exercises.
Great. We have a question from Rand Pearsall saying, when my daughter was young, she took piano lessons and played 1,000 miles at her recital. Do you think it's better to learn, and you touched on this, is it better to learn to play with popular music or with more classical pieces in the beginning?
I think in the beginning it's about what the student wants to learn to keep them interested. And I think a balance between classical pieces and popular pieces is important.
And actually, Sarah Gorman just commented saying, how about, how would you ever feel about doing Broadway?
Like singing?
Would you ever be in a Broadway show?
Maybe. I mean, I don't really have like the la voice, but like I've seen like people. I mean, that wasn't bad. That's like a low E though. Like those songs get high. It depends. I think Broadway's getting more and more, like they step outside the box more and more. I love how creative Broadway has become, outside of like the traditional format. I mean, who knows? My mother would be furious if I said no.
Nick Miranda wants to know, which of your albums is your favorite to date?
Liberman. Liberman is the record I released last year. I think it's my favorite because we just get to go into the dream space that the record is. Like it's a concept record where the tones and the chord changes and everything is just meant to feel good on your brain, and I think that's why I love it so much. And but I will say the record before that, which is the first album I did outside of the major label system, had a profound effect on impact on my life professionally, personally. I feel like I came alive as an artist and a woman when I was able to like take myself out of that machine, and that wasn't until I started making that record in 2010. Mm-hmm. So, those two.
Great. Chandra Banu says, what is one piece of advice you have for young enthusiasts in their mid-20s?
Enthusiasts about what?
I would imagine she means about music.
Okay. Advice? I think the same as what I had said earlier about artists really sticking to their guns in terms of their aesthetic rather than getting overwhelmed by a trend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's a big one because, like, for instance, one of my first songs I ever wrote was a waltz, and I had many producers tell me that they don't play waltzes on the radio, so we'd have to change the time signature of the song, and I was like, you can't change the time signature of the song, then it's a completely different other thing, then it's like nothing. It's not the song I wrote. And in the end it worked as a waltz, you're always going to get input, and you have to really know who, like, people that you respect. You really have to it's a combination of really taking people's advice and then also really knowing when to stick and protect your aesthetic, Yeah.
Ferris Gamo says, if you were forced to play one song for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
Oh, God. What would yours be?
I don't know. Right now I do the Bach Chaconne. I play that.
You could hear
all
that forever.
The time.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I think like Debussy, I don't know which one. like even like the arabesque pieces, I mean I love, but like for the rest of your life. Oh, does she not? She doesn't mean like continuously playing for the rest of your life. Like you can take a
No.
break.
Probably means you can take a break.
Cool.
Right? You'd have to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I have to. I think in the realm of Debussy. I don't know which piece.
Okay. Great. Let's see. Augusta Marion asks, how long did it take you to write a song?
Depends. Sometimes it writes itself, and other times like a year. To, you don't spend every day working on it. You piece it together like a story sometimes.
Corey Tats asks, how do you feel when people associate you with just 1,000 miles?
Well, I'm good now because sometimes I think in my past it's been such a challenge because it's like, okay, that was, how many years ago was that? 2002. We're 2017. You do the math, okay? And, at first when I was really, I had left that, like I said earlier, left the major label machine, I was, really fiercely independent and really wanting to be able to just start over and not have this huge association with me anymore. Wanted to cut ties with it. But then as I've gotten older, I think because, like I said, this last record is such the bottom line for me, in terms of I know where I can go forth in my career. I can see so many other projects in front of me because of that record. I play it first at our shows just to get it out of the way. That's how I really look at it. And then it's okay, did you get it? Okay, let's move on.
And what do you see coming next for you?
I mean, I see a record coming next, but far off into the future, I really want to score films. That's my dream. Writing instrumental work pieces, I do it all the time. It's that's my happy place. It's really a wonderful thing to do. So, but I have to earn my way in, I guess. I mean, unless anyone's watching that's making a film and they need a composer for their movie. How do people get in touch with each other? Twitter. Let's see what we can do.
Feel free to comment if you are making a film and want to reach out. Great. We have a question from Catherine Shriver asking how you balance your professional, creative, and personal life as an artist.
Well, yeah, I'm a mom of a 2-year-old. Her name is Sydney. And my husband, John McCauley, is also in a band called Deer Tick, and he's actually home in Nashville with the baby now because I'm on tour. And there's no manual on how to be a touring mom. I know a handful of other mothers who are touring musicians. Everyone does it a different way. It all depends on the age of your baby. Sid came out on the road with us last tour because she was 9 months old and she could be in a car seat for 4 hours a day. But we travel in a Sprinter van. It's not luxurious, and she's 2 now. So what I do, and this works for my husband and I, is when I tour, he doesn't tour. He stays home, watches the baby. When he tours, I stay home with the baby, and we always, we try and visit each other. 2 weeks is our max for being away from each other, and those are our rules. We have a huge dry erase board, and we plan out our lives.
Great. We have a question from Sarah Blagg. She asks, what's your favorite music to play for your daughter?
Her favorite band is called the Pogues. She just calls them Pogues. She's actually obsessed with the Pogues. She loves John's band. She loves Deer Tick. She likes a few of my songs. I just wrote a new song she calls Mama's Song, and it's called Love is an Art. She really loves that song. So that made me feel good about what's to come. Because babies are very, there's no bullshit with babies. They don't know how to do that, so.
Lindsay Jones wants to know, does Sydney influence your songwriting?
She is the song destroyer of life. If you try and sit and do anything, if she wants in on the piano, you will do nothing. You will get 0 done. She is the song destroyer. But in terms of influence, I mean, she just had a profound impact on my life, just knowing her and being a mother. It's a big deal.
Ariel Churchill asks, do you feel that other types of media besides music, such as literature, film, etc., have influenced your music?
More than anything, yeah. I mean, I'll write songs directly in response to books. Much of Liberman was inspired by The Power of Myth, Joseph Campbell. There's one song on Rabbits on the Run that was just a couple, but one directly inspired by Joan Didion's Year of Magical Thinking. I think that, yeah, philosophies in general and hearing people's, like, that book, and Joan Didion in particular, that was like a confessional, that was like this chronicling of her, of grief for her, and I think that when I read books like that from other people, it's like I write their song too, kind of.
Great, and we will wrap up this Q&A shortly, but I just want to ask Grace's question. Grace Humphrey says, what has been the most amazing thing that's happened in your musical career?
Okay, look, being nominated for Grammys is cool and all, like, I know it's not normal, but that's not it. Recently, it turns out that Delta Airlines has chosen Take It Easy, which is the first song in Liberman, to be their boarding the aircraft song. And my dad's a pilot too. It is like, that song has been chosen to calm passengers upon their entrance onto an aircraft. And like, I think it may, for now, this is one of my highlights in my career. And my mother, when she walked onto a Delta flight recently and it was on, and you know, she texted me, and like, when moms text, period, it's weird because they don't sound like themselves, but she was like, Vanessa, Take It Easy is playing on the plane. The universe is magnificent. She was so excited.
Oh, that's great. Well, thank you so much for answering our audience questions, and we'd love to hear some more songs.
Okay.
If possible.
We'll play another Liberman song. This is called Blue Pool. Light a cigarette and see the fade in your eyes.
Thank you so much. If you want to do one more song for us. And then we'll
Okay.
close out. Thank you.
I don't know if she's watching, but if my baby girl Sid is watching in Nashville, this is for her. This is called River. Sailors on the sea, are you heading clear for the edge of the ocean? There's no city that keeps you king for a gypsy. Are you guided by some vision? All your moves adding up to an ancient art. We are free at the canyon cliff of my heart. The river flows, it takes a hold, and it's running through, and we ain't changing on our own. Oh, we change for you. The river flows, it always flows. And he walks home to another city. His mind stuck in an ancient